Too Close for Podcast. Here we are, Season 2 recap, where we talk about, how many episodes were there this season? 22?
21, 22.
Let's see what the total was here. There was 22, as opposed to Season 1 that had
19?
19.
18.
19. Okay, so Season 2 ran from October 13th, 1981, all the way until May 11th, 1982. I call it the April years. April did not make her first appearance until episode 202, Your Guest is as Good as Mine, and made her final appearance on the series on episode 222, Don't Shoot the Piano Movers, which we talked about last time. Whether or not she is mentioned at all in Season 3, I guess that'll just remain to be discovered. I don't remember. They might have in passing said something, but...
I don't think it was ever mentioned again, but I could be wrong.
So how many of the 22 episodes do you think April was on? Because I have the grand total at this point.
17.
Oh, man. 17. You are absolutely correct. There are 17 episodes this season that April are in. Wow. Let's talk about the episodes she's not in. That could be interesting. Well, there was the one on Muriel's birthday where she discovers she's pregnant. No April there.
What episode is that?
That was the first one of Season 2.
Ah.
They go out singing and all that, and she does the whole, I should say Muriel, not she, because I could be talking about a number of different people, where Muriel pulls the tablecloth out, does that whole bit. Then April plops in to stay for quite a good stretch here, and then we have our first non-April episode after she became a regular, and that one was 212, A Fan for Henry. You remember that one.
Yeah.
Henry's Cosmic Cow.
One of my favorite ones were Mr. X steals the Cosmic Cow puppet.
Yeah, also known as Kathy. No April to be seen in that episode. Another April-less episode. Charlie's Last Hurrah. You remember that one. Henry's deceitful old friend Charlie wants Henry to help him cheat on his wife.
Ah. A classic.
Yep, April free. Then we get another April free one the very next week. The Last Weekend. Henry takes Jackie and Sarah on a ski trip. Nary an April to be seen.
That's a classic episode as well. One of my favorites.
Let's see here. Before I announce it, I want to make sure I'm right here. Okay, the last episode of the season, strangely enough, episode 217, without April. Do you remember what that one was? It was 7th Month Blues. Henry mistakes an art student as flirting with him. No April on that one either.
Sometimes they gave us an excuse of where April might be.
Yeah.
They didn't always do that.
So, what did we do last time? We recounted the sweaters, right? Okay, I'll do that this time since I have it all written here. Henry's sweaters. Well, we started out the season with Ohio State Buckeyes. Remember that one. Then there was University of Kentucky and Oregon State University in episode 2. Episode 3, I mean, we get a lot of Henry sweaters this season. It's even more than season 1. There's Alabama. Then episode 4, University of the Pacific in Maryland. Episode 5, Columbia University. This is important information, people.
It really is.
Oh, then there's a couple without any sweaters there. Episode 8, Maine Black Bears.
Some sweaterless episodes.
Yeah. What were those sweaterless episodes? Why was this episode sweaterless? Can we figure it out just based on the... Well, the first one that was sweaterless, let me Let me verify this here. I think I'm right. Yeah. That one was Rafkin's Bum from episode 6 of season 2. No sweater.
That's weird. That's one I just opened
Oh,
to.
how funny. Episode 7. No sweater. Where there's a will. Henry worries over his lack of a will. And then we have American University in episode 209. University of Toledo in episode 210. Slippery Rock State College in episode 211. No, I'm not making these up. Florida Gators in Earlham, which I know I'm probably saying wrong. Episode 212 contained that. Episode 213 contained STFXU.
Some of these are 2 sweater episodes.
That's true. Like episode 214. It doesn't have April in it, but it does have 2 sweaters. Charlie's Last Hurrah contains Penn State University and Iowa State University. Then the very next week, no April, no sweater. What's going on? The last weekend, Henry takes Jackie and Sarah on a ski trip. There are no Henry college sweaters. And April's away. She was mentioned as not being there. Then, episode 216, My Unfavorite Martin. 3, count them, 3 sweaters. It's a first. Georgia, which we see him put on. West Virginia, and Lehigh University. That was also the first 1982 episode. Then, the very next week, 7th Month Blues. You know, the one where Henry mistakes an art student as flirting with him, and then he throws her aspirin out the window. Well, that's a side point, but April's absent, but college sweaters aren't. Whitman and Los Angeles City College in that one. There was a lot of Cosmic Cow references in that one. My favorite episode of the season, 218, as the cookie crumbles. Sarah starts selling Cosmic Cow cookies. Love that one. He's wearing Yale with pockets, which is a trend I noticed towards the end of the season. Sweaters with pockets. Like in 219, Foreign Exchange, he's wearing not only Cornell University, but LAVC. 220, he's wearing Colgate. 221, he's wearing Emerson, but that was a point of contention there because he's all bundled up. It is kind of hard to read the sweater. And we wrap up the season with West Point in episode 222. Okay, let's do some more numbers here. Henry pointing instances in season 2. Approximately 106. Now, how many stammers do you think there were in comparison?
53.
Oh, there were only 15.
Wow.
Yeah, those are more sparing. We usually get one good one an episode if we get one at all. Yeah.
I should have thought like that. Yeah, next year we'll make up a trivia game.
Now, the record was set for most pointing instances this season way back on episode 219, Foreign Exchange, where Henry worries over Jackie and Sarah's apartment exchange. He pointed 9 times in that one.
Wow.
Okay, then the guest stars. Let's see if we remember all these people. In episode 1 of season 2, guess who's coming to Burp? All the patrons of Jake's Joint. You know, Monroe was a waiter / performer. And then there was the doctor who came to visit the house. Was that Dr. Connolly?
It was a woman, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do believe it was the reoccurring character of Dr. Connolly that we only saw once or twice.
Ends up on the phone after that. In episode 2 of season 2, we had the uncredited punkers at the front door.
One of my favorite episodes.
The first April episode. Episode 3, we had Ethel and the Kadinskis. Do you remember who Ethel and the Kadinskis were? That's when they thought Sarah was switched at birth. Ethel was their daughter who was in prison, and the Kadinskis was the other family. Took me a second there. Do you remember Leonard Hummel from episode 204? Like you said, trivia game. Leonard Hummel was the old admirer of Jackie's who reemerged with a lot of plastic surgery, and then he took an interest in Sarah. Leonard Hummel. Then, of course, Wendell Balaban.
Oh, Mr. Balaban.
In his butler. The credits say Vendel from Rafkin's Bum. Then in the episode Where There's a Will, episode 207, we had Chris Lemon appear as David the lawyer. In the hospital, there was the doctor, that old woman in the wheelchair, and apparently there was a bride and groom, but they were only listed in the credits, but we could not find them in the episode. Well, of course you remember Lester Nugent from episode 208. Hello, Lester? That was the episode where Monroe became too aggressive. The remaking of Monroe.
Yeah, the best one-sided phone call of the series, maybe.
Lester calls Henry. Assertiveness is not bulldozing your way through life. Then the guest stars in episode 209 were party guests and a doctor. This was the one where Monroe showed up in a gorilla suit and then in a chicken suit. You remember that?
Yeah.
Muriel wanted to do a photo shoot from the helicopter. Henry didn't like that too much. And of course, in the episode Cop Out, we had the police, and which were Willard and Brad Turner, the original Brad Turner, who was replaced a few episodes later. Then, of course, how could you forget episode 211, April and September, where April dates a much older man named
Don.
Don Kellogg. Yeah. And then, of course, a fan for Henry.
Mr. X.
Mr. X, Kathy, and also Officer Ron Williams.
Ron Williams, which I thought was her boyfriend, but it wasn't.
Brad Turner, Rod Williams. Then we got to meet Bill Rush, Brotherly Hate, April's father, Henry's
Mrs.
brother.
Rafkin was back.
Oh yeah, she was back in that episode. Yeah. That was the first time that the first and I believe only time that April and Mildred Rafkin had interaction with each other.
Miss Dan Rafkin was not impressed.
No. Then, of course, there was Charlie Davis. You draw Darby? And then, of course, we had the whole incident with what is her name? Is it Carol or is it Doris?
I have written down Carol.
I think we realized that it was Doris after rewatching the episode about 5 times.
Yeah, it's in the credits as Carol.
Mm-hmm. But we also had Roxanne and the waiter and the tripping waiter, but they might have been the same waiter in that episode. I'm not sure. On the skiing trip, there was the bellhop, Glenn and Les Miller, and then Irene Miller, who got drunk and fell in the hot tub with Henry.
Classic.
We had no guest stars in My Unfavorite Martin because we had Iris, the interloper, her first appearance and only appearance in season 2, and also her only interaction with April ever, which was much like Mildred's, not impressed. Getting close here. 7th Month Blues, we had the art student Susan Andrews, as well as the Lamaze class, only which the Moncriefs were credited. But then we had our first appearance of Beverly Sanders, the actress who later plays Marcia of Herb and Marcia. She was just the Lamaze instructor, Nurse Gaynor, in this episode. As the cookie crumbles, we had Juan Garzo. You finished? And then we also had Reynolds and the health official and Jenkins. And I believe Reynolds and Jenkins were the other people showing up saying you need a business license or whatnot.
And they came to take away Juan as well.
That's right, and they gave him Monroe instead. By the very next week, strangely enough, an episode called Foreign Exchange, Monroe is back.
We meet the Chapmans.
Chapmans. Terrence and Liz, who aren't gun smugglers.
They're gun collectors and traders, or something like that.
Wendell Balaban comes back one more time this season in A Matter of Degree, where Sarah wants to become a weather announcer. That storyline comes back. Then we wrap up the season almost with The Policeman's Wife Is Not a Happy One. Remember, that's the actual season end if you go by production number, where we had the new Brad Turner, heater guy Vic, known as the serviceman. I noticed his name was Vic because that was his name tag. And then the people at the station, Mr. and Mrs. Beckley and the hooker. If you remember all that in the squad room. Then we truly wrap up the season with Don't Shoot the Piano Movers, which included Moose, who helped move a piano for part of $15, Benny and Paula DeFranco, who were not, they were separated by a piano.
Yeah.
And we also had the Workman, and Butter. Butter guest starred in that episode as well.
Moose. Remember Moose?
Moose, yeah, Moose.
The Workman. Yeah.
Oh, the Workman was Moose. Oh, okay. Because sometimes I'll go by the character's name and then the credits as well. Well, like I said, I think my favorite one of the whole season was the As the Cookie Crumbles, because I remember that one from when I was a kid, and it taught me about copyright. That you can't just go around stealing people's stuff.
I liked the one where the little girl stole the puppet.
Oh, yeah, that is a good one. What was your favorite April episode of the season?
I guess it would have to be the first episode where April moves in.
It is a good one.
Brings the punk rockers and just totally turns the house upside down.
Wow. There's a lot of good stuff in season 2 there. It makes people the uninitiated think that April was in a lot more than 17 episodes, but that was it. That was it. We make room for Iris next season. She shows up in episode 3 because the episode 1 and 2 are really just a two-parter where Andrew finally shows up. And he doesn't really do much.
Except for that time where he's talking.
Yeah, there is that bizarre Luke Who's Talking episode. I'm not sure if that's in 3 or 4. And it predates that movie, too. I know that much. The Too Close for Podcast will return sometime in the near future with Season 3. Until then, keep tuning in weekly to the GMR Podcast.
You can hear my show on Stitcher. Stitcher is radio on demand. Download the free app today. Listen anytime, anywhere.
Create custom playlists. Rate and review my show on Stitcher. And over 4 million car dashboards.
On demand and on the go. No downloading, no syncing, no wasted memory. Stream your favorite podcasts. Don't have Stitcher? Download it free today at Stitcher.com or in the App Store.